all the things you should be looking at. And then what I'm going to do for you guys quickly is build up the WR1 blog for Sassy. I'm just going to do it live, show you guys how we use Fantastico, and that process should take us no longer than 15-20 minutes to get it all up and running and prepped and ready for us to start actually mapping out our silos. Okay, so let's get stuck right in. So let's have a look where we're at. Okay, so last week we went through the one feed, and as we went through the one feed, we basically understood how it all works, and we created our first blog silo. Okay, but I know that a lot of you guys are actually just coming out of week 4. You're sort of moving out of week 4 and you get into week 5. So just to help you guys, I want to basically just build the blog for you guys, get it up and running, and show you how to do it very, very quickly. Okay, so in week 7, this is where we go and we actually look at the whole site. We look at the framework, and we look at our W1 primary site, we look at our blog, and we go through our checklist, and we check to see, okay, have we got everything set up? Have we missed anything? And we want to make sure the framework's all working. We want to make sure our analytics is working. We want to make sure the blogs are communicating properly, that they're syndicating properly, and that our posts and messages are arriving out on our WRS1 public profiles. Okay, so WRS1 is our social profiles. These are the business profiles, and we want to make sure that our messages are actually going out to the right places. And the reason why we're doing this in week 7 is because in week 8, this is where I'm going to start taking you guys through analytics, and we're going to start looking at sales funnels, and we're going to start looking at how the analytics works and how we can extract information from that. Okay. So what we have here at week 7 is essentially the framework, and I'm going to quickly just take you guys through this and we can have a look at what we've started setting up. Okay, so the framework consists of a server, we have a www domain, and we have a subdomain as well here, which is for our blog. And between the two of these frameworks, these blogs that we set up, we've got components that we use, which are payment gateways, autoresponders, analytics. We've got our default plugins we use. There's backups that have to take place. We look at CDNs. This is content distribution networks. We looked at one feed last week. And then there's semantic web tagging. Okay, this is just the microformatting that we'll use for the actual business address if you're doing local kind of stuff. Or if you're doing videos and other things, there's markups you can do for that. Kevin Polly's made a few themes that are available. Russ, where can the guys get that if they're interested in the semantic themes?
I'm trying to remember what our policy is for cert students on the semantic themes. Okay. We have a website called semanticwpthemes.com, which I'll drop in here for you. And if you're a full certified advisor or you're taking the full certification stacked training, you should have access to the semantic pinvid theme, and I believe one other. Let me just double check with that for you guys, but I'll drop the link where you can visit our options for semantic themes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what we did with our WR1 is we essentially set up a few plugins. So here we can see some basic plugins. It's a silo builder, XML sitemaps. We use Yoast Analytics in this example for Sassy, Yoast SEO. The local one, I've sort of scratched it off the list, so that's going to be coming out there. And if you're doing videos, we've got the video sitemap. Those are the basic plugins that we use with the actual framework. On the blog, it's the same type of thing, and this is what I want to show you guys today. I'm going to quickly take you through this process and show you how quickly we can actually set up a blog and get things configured. Okay, now when we look at our components, okay, basically the WR Money site, you need to have a payment gateway. Can you guys give me a 1 if you've built your site already and you've got it linked to your bank account? What I mean is you've got a PayPal button and you can actually transact now. Give me a 1 if you have, or 2 if you've not done that. Okay, guys, what I'd like to say to you, as soon as you have your first page up on your site, put a buy now button on your site. You never know who's going to pop in there and actually press that button to buy your product or your service. Okay, and that's one of the main things that you want to get up first. So set your gateways up. Autoresponders, if you've got a list and you're doing list building, your autoresponder comes in, and this can actually sit on either the WR1 Money site or the blog, or WR2 or WR3. You can connect these autoresponders all the way through the WebRig system. Okay. The analytics, For the WR1, we use Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools. Okay, everything is above board on the WR1. We're public, we want the whole world to know about what we're doing, and we've got nothing to hide. Okay, so we use Google and we use the technologies that are available with that. On our WR2s and WR3s, we use PWiki or OWS or one of those type of platforms that are third-party, which we are self-hosting. And I'm going to cover that in Tech 4 for the guys who are taking that course. Okay, default plugins, that depends on what your business model is and what you're building. You'll have a set of plugins that you'll use. Okay, and then backups. Who's got a backup facility set up already? Guys, backups is probably one of the most important things. If you haven't got backups done, I would recommend using main WP or manage WP. I use manage WP. I'll show you the guys that shortly. Basically what happens if you don't have backups, it just takes one plugin, one slider, one hole in your actual site, and your site will be down literally in seconds, and it's all done by bots. Okay, it's not something personal. It's not going to be a personal attack. It's just hackers trying to find backlinks and take control of things. And if you've got a backup, you can basically roll your backup up, fix the hole, and get back to business. It happened to us Sassy the other day. We got hit. The ref slider knocked us down. We're down for a few hours. I rolled my backup up, flattened the whole database, reinstalled the backup, site was back up and running, tested everything, and that process cost me half a day. If you didn't have a backup, you have to go through the whole configuration from scratch. Okay, so we're going to talk about backups a bit today in this call as well, and the importance of it. Okay, content distribution networks, CDNs. I typically use CDNs on all my sites that are WR1s. Number one, I want the speed. Number two, I want to inherit some domain authority from the actual CDN. Okay, and number three, I want my pages to load as fast as possible. Okay, so CDNs are also important, and we do cover that in Tech 2. We go through that in detail, and we show the guys how they go about setting that all up. We covered one feed last week, and in semantic web tabbing, Kevin Polly's got a great course where he goes through that in detail and explains the whole semantic web to you guys. But what I'll do today is I'll just show you some basic ways of actually setting that up in the actual templates and stuff, and I'll just use widgets to do it. Okay, so let's get started. This week what we're going to be doing, okay, is we're going to basically go through our checklist. And what we want to do is we want to look at our whole framework that we set up. Now remember, the framework is the WR1 and the WR1 blog, okay? That's your money site and your blog. And what we want to do is we want to basically go through the process and just look at this list and make sure that we can tick all these things up. So from the WR1 framework, have we set up a domain? Yes or no? Have we set up a WR1 money site? Yes or no? Have we set up a blog? Yes or no? We go through a list. Then we look at the silos, categories, content, optimization. Have we added our painkiller content? Have we added our buy now buttons to the site? Have we configured the sites to be SEO friendly? Have we added our thank you pages? Have we added TNCs? And have we optimized our metadata, titles, descriptions, and keywords? Okay. Now the reason why I say use a thank you page, guys, is for your opt-in form. If you use an Ajax-based form that typically comes with a lot of the themes, Sassy is a prime example, and I've left it like this just so I can show you guys. I'm going to be changing it soon. You cannot track that through analytics, okay, because the page is not going from point A to point B. It's just refreshing and doing the transaction rightly. The page doesn't change, and analytics doesn't work with it. So what you want to do is you want to create a form that basically allows you to post, and then it allows you to redirect the person to the thank you page. And on the thank you page, we're going to flag that as a goal, as a completion, and that allows our analytics to essentially track how many contacts are we getting a month. Okay, so that's something that you want to do. With your site, go through the process and get your banking set up, get your PayPal set up and test it. Do some fake transactions. Obviously you need a second PayPal account. You can't buy from PayPal with your own PayPal account via your own PayPal link. It won't let you do that. So use a partner's PayPal and just push the transaction through and make sure that the money moves from account A to account B so that you know your payment system works. Okay, same goes for your autoresponders. Make sure that when someone subscribes, the newsletters get delivered to that person and the content is working. Okay, now you don't have to go write a whole autoresponder series. you just can start off with your first letter that you're writing to the person. And as the people come in, you welcome them and you give them some information. Okay. Next, we want to make sure, have we got our analytics installed on our website? And have we set up our funnels and our goals? Okay, this is what is very important. When you build your WR1 site, what is the primary function of that actual website? What is the goal you want to achieve? Go into analytics and map it out. That's going to help you define things much, much more when you actually start looking at the analytics and you start setting up your goals. Then you can start thinking where you're going to put the opt-in forms in. You're going to start thinking about what you're going to ask the people. And one thing I want to say about the opt-in forms when you do them is give people small steps to take. Don't give them a massive form. If you're doing lead generation and staying in the financial industry, make people hop through a process rather than give them a form which is overwhelming. This is one of the things that we find does decrease your actual lead generation. Okay, what usually works well is what is where you take the person's name and their email or cell phone number, and then you redirect them to the next page, and then you ask them the rest of the information. So if they bail halfway through the transaction, you can actually get back and contact them. But when they take that first step, on the next page, you can actually call that information back and you can speak to them using their name. So there's a lot of benefits of doing that way around. And that's something that we cover in Tech 2 as well. Okay. Before you build your blog, typically what I tell you guys to do is you want to configure all your plugins for the WR1 Money site. Okay. You then want to back up your WR1 Money site before you add all your content, and you will do a full backup. So when you come to do your blog, you can then go and just reinstall it. Okay, if you've got content on the site, I'm going to show you guys today how to quickly set up your blog. We don't have to go through that process. Okay. Check all your branded accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, YouTube, all your business accounts. Make sure that they're branded, make sure that they've got your logos, make sure that your contact details are there. Get everything legit, everything up and running and working, okay? And then finally, one feed. Once it's up and running and your blog's running, do the post and watch the post move through all your social accounts. Make sure that's all working. Okay, and then finally, when that's all working, you go and back up your whole entire website. Okay, back up everything, the full site. From the day it's launched and you believe, okay, this is ready to rock, make a full backup at that time and then do a weekly backup on your site in the beginning. When your site starts getting really busy and you're getting a lot of traffic, if you're in a market where there's tons of traffic, then change the backups to incremental backups of either daily, or if it's super, super busy, you've got hundreds of thousands of people running through your site, backup every hour. It depends on how much traffic you get, which determines the frequency of backup. Okay. If you've got a local site and you're getting a few hundred hits a week, a weekly backup's more than enough. You're not going to lose much information. Okay. Plus, all your emails are stored on the autoresponder, so you won't lose that information. All right. So that's basically the checklist that we run through, and I go through this whenever I build sites. I just run through this and I make sure that I've not missed anything, because sometimes when you're really busy, you miss out a few things and it throws a span in the work. And when you go through the checklist, it just helps you move through the processes much faster. I see the question coming here. That's our themes. That's not related to this. Right. Okay. So let me build a site for you guys quick. So if we look at Sassy, I'm just going to come in here and let's get to the Sassy site. Okay. And what I've got open here is Softlicious. I've created a subdomain and I've just called it blog. And I'm not showing that just because of security issues in WordPress. It's going to expose a lot of the internal files. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to Softlicious. You find it in cPanel at the bottom of the page. And I'm going to click on install. Okay. Now this is the blog for Sassy. I'm going to set it up for you guys very quickly. And what you'll see is going to be HTTP. And I'm just going to call it blog.sassy.coza. Okay, in the directory, I'm just going to have it in the root. I don't want it in another folder within the folder, so that's going to install it in blog sassy.coza. We're going to see all the files in the root. And the DB name, I'm just going to call this a WR1 blog. And the table prefix, this is the tables within WordPress. I usually just call them WR1 blog. And I change it to something else. Let's make this version 1. Okay. Site name, It's going to be Sassy headline, Sassy news, and promotions. Okay, site description, Sassy hair salon. Okay, admin username and password. Don't use admin, change it to something else. So I'm just going to call this one Sarah and Sam. Okay, that's strong. I'm going to change that. I'm just going to get this into myself. Okay, now language is English. Login attempts, I always check that. That prevents guys breaking in. On the advanced options over here, I'm going to leave any of these. I don't want it to auto-update any of my plugins. I like to test things in my sandbox first before I roll them out to my production sites. Now, for this website, I'm not going to select the theme. I'm basically just going to install it. I'm going to have that sent through to me over there. I need that password before I start. Okay, so I click install. So while that's installing, you can check it's going to take a few seconds. And that'll have everything up and running for us. Okay, so I'm going to log in here. The password in there, and it was Sarah and Sam. That was the username. Let's go log in there, and it was wrong. Okay, 2 seconds. Let me get that password. Right. So there you can see we got it wrong. So it says I've got 3 attempts remaining. What we want to do over here is I just want to go back and grab that username. Hasn't got it. Okay, it doesn't matter. Get rid of that. Okay, and I want to get that, but I want to also log in here and show you the FTP. So I'm going to refresh this quickly here. Okay, so I've logged in here, and I'm going to use the FTP program I use. It's called Flash FXP. I like this a lot. And in my WP content, what I'm going to do here in the themes is I'm going to just push up the Sirens theme that I used for the primary site, and I'm going to basically just get rid of the other plugins that we have, the other themes that I don't want to use. I just get rid of them because I don't need them. Okay. So while that's going, we can start installing and fixing the site up. Okay. Can you guys give me a 1 if you've got your blog set up already, or 2 if you're not there yet? Just so I can get some understanding of where you guys are at the moment. Okay, so most of the guys haven't got their blogs up. Cool. Right, so I'm just going to get the username and password, and I'm just going to drag this here. Okay, so what we're going to do next, guys, is essentially I'm going to install the Simple Silo plugin, and I'm going to mirror the themes of Sassy's WR Money site. And what I mean by that is I'm going to basically copy the silo level and move them across to the blog in preparation for the actual site. Okay. That's weird I did that. Okay. I'll have to fix that. What the? Okay. So it looks like I'm having a bit of hassles here. I know what it is. Capitals helps if you're not using that. Okay. Oh man, damn, I locked myself out. Okay, that is no good. Let's just start again with this. So I'm going to go to soft leashes here. I'm going to go back. Click on install. I'm going to come to the Sassy one here, and I'm just going to flatten that, and I'll set it up quickly again, make it simpler. Okay, so this is why I use soft leashes. We can do things really, really quickly, and it definitely helps us work much more rapidly. So we're going to return to the overview. I'll go through that process again. I'm going to install the blog, take it out to the directory, okay, let's call this Sarah. This is not right. Okay, let me just pause this. Okay, so while that's clearing that out, I was going to make sure I got this all right here. WRMB, override files, table tricks here, Sassy user promotion, Sassy here, no spaces, password, password. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. That's right. All these are done. Okay, let's click install. Let's go. So the first thing I do is I install the blog. Then we try and log in for the second time. Okay, and we're going to go in here. There we go. So we're in the salon here. I want to go to /WP. I want to go to Sarah. And get the password quickly, and then we should be on our way. Okay, so that's the in. So the next thing we want to do here is we want to install our plugins. So I click on Add New, and while that's happening, I'm going to just upload that theme again. So I'm going to come back here, I want to refresh that page, I'm going to go to WP Content, Themes, I'm going to take my Siren theme over there, I'm going to push that up, so that can upload while we're chatting about this. And the first thing I want to do is I want to upload the plugin, and it's going to be the simple silo plugin. So I want to come over here, and I want to basically get the plugin. Okay, so I'm going to go browse, and we're going to use the simple silo plugin. We're going to open that, I'm going to install it now. and we're going to activate that plugin. So when we look at the Sassy site, what we have here is hair, wedding hair, and makeup artist. Those are the three silos that we have on the site here. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy these and we're going to create them in the silo plugin. So I'm going to go across the plugin, I'm going to click Manual Silo Builder, I'm going to select Home, I'm going to select Draft. Actually, let's just publish this. I'll show you how to set this up quickly. And we're going to go hair, wedding hair, yeah, and makeup. And we're going to click Add New. So what this does is going to go and create our silos for us over there. Okay. Now if we go to our pages, we can see the pages over there. Okay. We can get rid of that one there. And if we go to posts, categories, there we have wedding, hair, makeup, and uncategorized. And under our posts, you'll see that there's no posts. But when we come in here and we're going to trash the hello world, we're going to get rid of that. So the next thing I do, guys, is I come to my settings, I go to general, and I quickly run through my settings and just turn off the stuff that I don't want. So that's fine, that's fine. That's there. I go to my writing. I check that because I want invalid XHTML fixed. Okay. Our default post, we're just going to make that hair, and I'm going to go save. Now typically we add more of a ping list over here. I just don't have it on me at this moment. So I'm going to go to reading. Okay, and I'll just turn that off for now. What I've done is I just discourage search engines as I'm setting this up so nothing gets indexed. Under discussions, I turn all the comments and everything off. So that can stay, that can stay. I don't want people posting. The comment must fill in the name. The user must be registered. Automatically close comments after 1 day. That's fine. Break into groups. I don't want people posting. It must be held for moderation. It must be manually approved, and the author must have posted twice. Now, in these two sections here, I usually have a little list that I copy and paste, which has all the swear words and all those kind of things I don't want. But because we locked everything down, we essentially don't need to fill those things in. Okay, so I'm just going to save those changes. And then on permalinks, we use category post name by default, okay? And I'm going to save that there. Okay, so the permanent structure is updated. So I'm just going to quickly check that just now when the thing's in, and then login attempts, I'm going to actually just reset this because we had a few technical glitches in the beginning. Okay, allow for handle cookie and login, yes, log IP. Okay, that's fine. Right, so there we've set it up very, very quickly. So the next thing we're going to do, guys, is once the theme's up, we'll go in and configure the theme. But I'm going to hop across to menus. And when we look at menus, you can see that it's already done by default. The Silo plugin has created the menu, and our primary menu is going to be the Silo SEO menu. This is the one we're going to connect with on our theme. We're going to tell the theme, use this in the top navigation bar. Okay. Social links menu, primary menu, that's all fine. We'll leave it all fine for now. So if we look at the site, okay, we've got all these things, all these widgets and all this kind of stuff. So the next thing I'm going to quickly do is just get rid of all that stuff. So I'm going to come across to appearances. I'm going to click on widgets. And I want to get rid of recent posts. I want to get rid of recent comments. I want to get rid of the archive. I want to get rid of the categories. And I want to get rid of the meta. Okay. And what we'll do next is we'll take the any simple silo builder, and I'm going to just stick that over there for now. Let's call this related articles. Page titles home, that's fine, show 10. And I typically keep showing the thumbnails and the breadcrumbs. I keep those off for now. And I say that there, so I'm going to click save. And that's basically the general setup of the actual block done and dusted. It's just a matter of applying our theme and running that. Okay. So let's go quickly to our themes. And we can then activate this theme. Okay, then I just go through the basic stuff. I drop my analytics code in, and I tweak and have and configure all these settings over here. Okay, so when we look at the site now, there's our structure, there's our silos, prepped and ready. So what happens next is when we start posting and running our post articles, that's going to hit the one feed and it's going to run off and go through to all our social accounts that we have activated and associated with this actual website. So you can see it basically took us less than 15 minutes with all the technical issues that we had in the beginning initially to get this to a point where we can actually start posting and getting everything set up and running properly. Okay, so guys, do you have any questions about this process, and are you pretty familiar with this? Are you comfortable with setting up the blog? It's not a big deal. It's super easy. You can see the reason why I back things up when I build my first one, because when you just roll them out, when you clone them, you can do the cloning in Softlicious. If we go back to the overview, in Softlicious over here, when you see these two images over here, I can essentially clone the whole Sassy site if I wanted to, but I didn't want to do it now just purely because I have to still go do updates on the WordPress and all those kind of things, but I also didn't want to carry the content across. But if I wanted to, that's essentially what I'd do. I'd come in here, I'd click clone, I'd fill in the form, tell it where to do it, and it will clone that whole website right there with all the settings, the configuration, the look and feel, all the social accounts, absolutely everything will be mirrored onto the actual blog. And that saves us tons of time when we actually do this, which means when we set up our blogs, it takes literally 3-4 minutes, and then we're ready to roll. Okay, there's a question here. Does the WordPress menu have to mimic any silo? I don't understand your question, Marina. Could you just clarify that for me, please? So Welton's saying, so our process would be to clone our current WR1 site and then manually put in the silo builder and plugins and a few things. Yes. Welton, what we do is when you've gone and built your whole WR1 and you've configured the plugins and you've tweaked everything and you've got the look and feel right and all your social accounts are set up and all the icons are all linked and connected, we make a copy of that and we back it up. Then we'll come with that actual copy and we'll just clone it. Boom. When we come to build up the blog. And I usually do the blog straight after the process. So once I finish setting it up, I create my blog, I click clone, it copies it. Now remember, when I do this stage, there's no silo set up in the actual website at this point in time. We're just working on the actual framework. We're working with the WordPress framework and we've got everything tweaked and set up how we want it. So that's what I would do. I'd then clone it, and then that site's prepped and ready and ready for me to use it. So let me refresh this quick. What you can do as well is you can essentially create a backup maybe and call it master as a subdomain, and you can actually back it up, clone, put the clone to there, and then you can have a third one which sits in the middle, which you can always utilize as a backup. Okay, and that makes it really quick and easy, so we save tons and tons of time. Now typically if we go this route I've shown you today, the manual route, we have to go through the whole process of setting the whole thing up again. Okay. Bill's asking, is it preferred to use the same theme and format the blog site? Bill, I typically look at user experience, and when a user moves from one site to another site, I like to keep the corporate, the WR1, the corporate ID, I like to keep the identities the same. So when they move from Sassy, the WR1 money site, and they hop across the blog and they're reading the blog posts and all those kind of things, the typical branding is still the same. So it's all part of trust building. And when they're hopping in between the two, the WR1 and the WR1 blog, the transition's more seamless and the user doesn't get distracted. Now, sometimes what happens is if your blog's totally different and on a different theme and looks different, this user might sort of start thinking, okay, am I actually still on the same site? So in my own personal taste, I prefer to keep the corporate IDs the same for the different types of sites, okay? So when I build my sites, it's always about user experience. Everything is about the user. What are they going to experience? How am I making them comfortable? How am I getting them familiar with the brand, the logos? Because remember, the branding is important. We've got the logos. We need to have those logos in there all the time. They've got to see the names. They've got to get familiar with it all. That's what we're trying to do. The Sirens theme, guys, I got this from Code Canyon. I get a lot of my themes over here, so if we just do a quick search here for you. It's a great place to get little scripts, and I find their themes are pretty well coded, and I've never really had much bad things to say about it. Sorry, let's go back here. Invator Markets. And then WordPress Themes is where we go to next. So we go to WordPress and we go to, here's all the WordPress things. I've got add-ons, advertising, there's all sorts. I'm looking for themes. Theme forest. There they are, WordPress themes, that's what I'm after. Now the guy that does these Siren themes, for the graphic type of sites that we're working with, he builds really pretty sites and his coding is pretty nice. So I find all the themes here. So if you just search for Code Canyon, you'll end up being in the Invator market, and there's all sorts. These are all connected. They all fall underneath the same company. So here you can see their branding. That's the umbrella, and these are all the websites, the domains that they have. Each one deals with a specific type of market. Okay, so you can see they're siloing by domain. That's essentially what they're doing. So in Code Canyon, here we can see all the stuff that you can get. It's a great place, a great resource for finding things, and it's usually cheap. So for example, if we just looked at the Woo currency filter, $17. It's a cheap place to buy good code, and you can just get that, get your stuff straight away, and you're off on your way. Okay. Rez is asking, are they semantic? Okay, let's have a look at that quickly, what it did. So let's go log into Sassy quickly here. And I'll just jump under the hood of Sassy and I'll show you guys what it did. I used the Yoast local SEO, and it basically, I just had too much hassles with it and it slowed my site down. So what I did is I went to Appearance, I went to Widgets, and what I did was on my footer sidebar, I put my markup over here. So contact us. I essentially marked up the code myself, and what we did then was we just dropped it in via widget into the footer. And when you look at this, you can see the divs. There's our schema.org address, so that's we set it up there. There's a domain, all our information, our shopping hours, the address, the locale, the region, all that kind of stuff. And then what I did afterwards is I just dropped another little div tag where I put the address in. So when we look at this, what we get to see then, if I open this in a new tab, from the visitor's perspective, they can see the nicely formatted code, but when we look under the hood, and if I use Firebug as an example, let's just inspect the bug. Okay, scroll down here. And if I highlight the div tag over here, can you guys see my screen? Can you give me one if you can see this? Yeah. What you want to do, guys, is get Firebug installed. It's a Firefox extension. You simply go Tools, Add-ons, and type in Firebug. It's a great tool. It gives you a lot of stuff. You can do a page speed test. You can see the cookies are being set. Especially if you're coding, it gives you a lot of information. And on then I'll show you a few of these features now shortly. But over here, we can actually come in and see the widget. Then we can see the item scope. And there's all my schema markup all put in. Okay, so when Google and the search engines come along, they can see exactly what's going on about this website. It's all marked up. Okay, and then there's our working hours. If we click on this button here, and we hop across to this div tag, and we highlight it, once again we can see our week of the day, but as we go a bit more up, there's all our metadata with the working hours. Okay. The semantic stuff is not just for SEO, guys. It's for, you can do videos, you can mark up a whole bunch of stuff. But typically on all my local sites, I mark it up this way. It just makes things much easier for the search engines to see exactly what's going on. They can see your working hours. So if we go to Google and we type in the Sassy hair salon, all this information over here is pulled from that. You can see we closed. They can say closed now because they're reading the markup, they understand the markup, so they can tell us if we're open or closed. Okay, so that's typically what we're doing, and this gets put onto our business page. There's our contact details there. Okay, so that's the reason why I use the markup. This makes it easier for this information to get dispersed across the search engines.
Matt?
Yeah?
There's one question from Marina. Did you answer that one already? About the menu?
I didn't understand that question.
Okay, she came back in. She said, I would like to customize the WP menu and not have all the silos from any silo builder in the main menu. Just at a pure technical level, Marina, you can do whatever you want. It's limited usually by your theme. However, what some people do if they want to deviate is, of course, you can pull a widget, a custom menu widget into the sidebar depending upon your theme matrix. Each theme will have the location with which you can place the widget based on the style sheet. So there is a way to put multiple menus on the front. If you remove the silo menu from the index page, then you don't get the benefits of silo architecture, generally speaking. There are other ways to work around that, but probably, we're not going to get into that too much on here. If it's a real design issue and you really just don't want it at all because it's an eyesore, one of the conflicts that comes up is always visitor enhancement optimization versus technical SEO. So there are ways to work. There are ways to work around that, depending upon what you're trying to accomplish. But a lot of the times, what people will do is put more than one menu and not have the default menu be the silo menu, and then you still get the benefit. Does that make sense, Marina? Okay.
Could you give us one, if you call that, Marina, or if you want us to go a bit more into that?
Yeah, the SEO benefit will be lost if you remove the silo plugin from the index page. Now, that's not to say that you can't get indexed in other ways. And I'm not a silo mentalist where it's the only way to do things. And using our plugin is not the only way to create the silo function. But it just does depend on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But it's better to keep that structure intact in some way, whether it's that plugin or not.
Yeah. Another thing to think about, guys, is this menu can be in the site. It depends on your theme. You can have them running down the sidebar. You can have them underneath. It depends what you're doing. But if you think about your index page of the domain, the index page is essentially the golden thread that connects all the silos together. That allows everyone to be connected. And this is why we have this. So we can move, the search engines can move through each theme, come up and go down, and they can actually come and pass the whole site pretty nicely. The further down you put your menus on the pages, when the search engines look at your site, they only read the first few hundred characters or the first few hundred words of your site. They don't go deep the first scan. So if your navigation is too far down, you may, from a technical point of view, not get them crawled properly. That's another thing to be aware of. Okay. Another thing is, with the silo plugin, if you deactivate the plugin, then it also impacts the menu structures. Things don't work. Okay, so if you've got a client and you've put the silo plugin there, just leave it for them. Don't turn it off when you finish, or if they upset you, because you will destroy their whole site. You'll pull things down and it will break up the navigation. Okay, so what else is there? Guys, do you have any other questions leading up to this point from week 1 to week 7, just so we can cover these? Because next week we're going to be looking at analytics, and what I've done for you guys is I've created a dashboard which you can use to track your actual blog, and you can actually watch what's happening with your social interactions from that point of view. Okay. Is there any
Good. It
questions that you guys have?
looks like everybody's pretty much on point.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to show you guys quickly and easily how easy it is to actually set up the actual blog using the Simple Silo plugin. It's a super easy feature. Simple. You get the site up. If you're cloning sites and using the deep silo builder from any for your WR1, we're using silos, categories, and supporting articles. What I would recommend doing is if you do that clone, uninstall that plugin, clear out the pages, clear out the trash. Okay, clear out the categories, clear out the posts, and empty the trash on all those. Then install the Simple Silo plugin, and then just manually mirror the actual themes, because all your blog posts are going to fall under these categories we've created over here. Bill's asking, does the markup cause the map to show up? Are you talking about one of the local ads maps? Let's just go back to the Google map. Are you speaking about this over here? This map comes up just purely because of the domain and because we verified it. I guess the markup plays a role in it because it populates this metadata here. But also, what I did with Sassy was I created a Google business page, and we set that up, and we also put the data in there with hours. So the Google business page contributes a lot to this actual location because they send out a postcard, and you've got to verify that your business is real. You have to actually verify the address, and then the rest of the stuff starts kicking in on the local things. Okay, so yeah, that's it for week 7, guys. Week 7 is all about auditing. It's all about checking. It's all about verifying that everything is technically working. So if something's broken, go back, tweak it, fix it, get it all prepped and ready, and then what we want to do is start getting your analytics up and running and make sure that everything's coming in. If your analytics is working and you're getting feedback, you'll probably find that your site gets indexed. And the way to check if your site's indexed is you can just go into Google and just type in site, Sassy. Okay, and you just put the domain in, and you can see we've got 48 pages that are indexed, and you can actually see what's coming in. You can see our call to actions, our headlines, all the stuff. You can see what's there. So there it's already picked up the other subdomain that I was playing with. Okay. So it gets things indexed really, really quickly. Okay, so that's how you check if your site's indexed. Just go site : and your domain, and if nothing appears there, let's just say we go like hair salons, let's make that up. If you're getting this image like this where there's no results, what you want to do is you want to go back in your site into settings, reading. That's the first place you want to check. And make sure that discourage search engines is unchecked, okay? That's one thing you want to do. When you do that, if it's checked, it won't work. So uncheck it, save it. If that's unchecked, then there must be another issue on your site that's actually blocking it. So you want to basically go check your robots.txt file. So I've got a little plugin I use that's called robots.txt, and this just gives me at a glance, I can see what am I disallowing. So you can see I don't allow access to my WAdmin, my includes, and in certain pages in my themes. I just block them, especially on the rev sliders and those type of things. I don't want those things indexed. I want people getting them because that's how they can get hacked. So I start excluding those type of things. Okay. Now, if you want to use other plugin settings that you set up before, I'm just going to show you what I do on SEO. For Yoast, I just go to import export from my WR1, all the settings I've set up. What you can do is export those settings on a lot of the plugins these days. And when you go to export, all you want to do is click that, check that, say export, and that's going to allow you to import an actual file. Okay. There's over there. So there's all my settings. I can take that, and once I've done that, I can select what I want to import in, and the Yoast plugin will actually just hoover in your old settings on your blog, and that's all configured. So you don't have to go through and click everything again. You can just go in and fine-tune a few little sections of the actual plugin. Okay, so guys, when you're working with your framework, I want you guys to start getting into a pattern of creating backups of your actual site. Okay, this is very important. But also, when you set up a theme, for example, I'll show you. Let me just show you this quickly. Let's manage. What I've done here was I worked on the theme the other day, and I'm going to be using it for Take 4, and I like the actual theme and the stuff that it offers us. And what I did was I just created a backup. Once I set it all up, cancel, I created a backup, and you can see the file size is 9 megs. Okay, so if we go to the WebDev UK site, the theme that I've got here is a nice theme. I like the way it works. I can rapidly change the look and feel of the site very quickly. And for WR2, it's a nice, simple theme. It flies under the radar. It loads really quickly. And on this one, we built basically a vCraken type of site. And when I come to build another one of these WR2s, I can go to my library where I've got all my backups, and I just check that, and I install the WP Manage plugin, and I just reinstall that actual blog over there. I backup. Now the backups that I'm using are kept on Dropbox, so I don't back up my files on my local server. I send them out to a Dropbox account, and in my Dropbox account I have the actual country. My naming convention is basically this. What I do on my backups is I go by country, then I go by theme name, and then I go by WR. Where does it sit in the web ring? Is it the WR1? Is it WR2? And that's why for countries that I'm doing specific themes, but for servers I use the country, then I use the themes, and then I use WR. That's just one of my naming conventions I use, so I know what themes I'm using in what countries, and I sort of can very quickly go, okay, cool, I like that theme that I used in a US site, so I go straight to US, because this helps me remember via the server where I actually backed that actual file up. It's got nothing to do with the actual country, it's just a place for, it's a pointer for me to remember. That's just one of my naming conventions. And that file's 9 megs, so for Dropbox you get 50 megs on one email account, so you can have multiple email accounts, and you can have a few gigs of information. Now 9 meg of a 50 gig account is nothing, so you can actually back up quite a lot of your themes. And once they're all configured and the plugins are all set up and everything's working right, back them up, Dropbox them, and then when you want to use that theme again, you just take it, stick it on your server, and that means when you're building a WR1, for instance, you don't have to go and reconfigure that whole thing again. You just put up the new banners, new logos, and boom, you're off on your way. New content, and that's it, job done. So that's why we call our WR systems a framework, because we can back that whole framework up and we can put them in locations and rapidly deploy them when we need to. Okay, so guys, do you have any other questions that you would like to ask me with regards to anything so far? I see some questions are pulling in.
Okay, let's see if we... One feed social account setup question. Should they link to the main money site or the blog? Also, G+ biz page. Do I need one for a money site and another one for the blog? Okay, that depends on your business model. Generally speaking, I assign 1-to-1 for a WR1 account. So generally speaking, you're going to have, unless for some reason you're in a giant company that has every staff member has a Twitter account and you have departments, and those are sites that are pretty large, or companies that are pretty large, Marina. So you probably just want to start very specifically with each one until you get a sense of how your Google dashboard ties to those things. So generally speaking, you would want one website and blog, and you could consider those one company. and then you can match one Google Plus Biz page to that. Okay, in other words, for your WR1, don't go creating multiple Google business accounts just for SEO purposes, one tied to the blog and one tied to your money site. That's not really going to help you that much. It's going to get you confused and create extra work. So the best way to think about it is your blog site, blog and or site tied to one Google dashboard account, and then tied to one Google Biz page. Okay, and you'll have a personal status update with that, and then a one-on-one social account, with the variables being if you have a large company with 5 staff members and all of them are working online, it's okay for them to have their own Twitter accounts, but you won't put that on your WR1 site. We have seen that a couple times before, where people have had one of the large corporate Twitter accounts and it's broken down into sub-accounts. That actually exists, and it's pretty rare to see that, but it does exist. But just keep things one-to-one-to-one to make things really easy. Does that make sense, Marina?
Yeah.
Okay, because when you get, when you, just so you know what's coming, so that we're not hiding anything from you, or WR2 WebRing and WR will change that completely. I mean, one of the web rings on one of my networks, I have thousands of accounts. Just so so you guys know that's your WR1 or money site is not the place to overly complicate your social statuses. You just want to make sure that, because that's your branded site, that's where people are going to come and follow you, and you want those to be highly populated, highly targeted, high conversation located areas. In other words, those are real brands. It's your real brand with real interaction with your social public. Okay, cool.
Yeah, just to add to what Russell said there, if you look at the screen, you see this image. If you look at the actual framework, this block, if you think of it as a block, in the block or in the box, we've got the WR1 money site, we've got the WR1 blog, and like Russell said, there's one dashboard connected to that, and that dashboard's connected to analytics, webmaster tools,
and that's
pages.
Yeah, Welton's kind of asking that question. And yes, Welton, it's completely fine. Some people come to the Tech Foundation Certification Level 1 course, and they have a Twitter account that's not been set up with a Gmail account, okay? And they might already have I don't really care about all that, or they have a Facebook page that's not tied to their Gmail account, which means it's not tied to the dashboard. None of that really matters to me that much with Twitter and all those things. I'm just giving a general rule. If people haven't started, use your general Gmail dashboard. Another thing that's weird is, some of you may already know this, that you're not limited to Gmail when it comes to using a Google dashboard. You can use a MX record with your regular email, russell@themezoom.com, and you can migrate all of that over to the Google Plus app or the Google app, and you can have russell@themezoom.com be your Gmail login. I'm not trying to complicate things. I just want you guys to have that on your radar, that they do have an MX service server. I do have that on some of my accounts. So my point is that a Google dashboard, what do we mean when we say Google dashboard? We simply mean the unifying factor on the dashboard that connects your Google Analytics, your Google Webmaster Tools, So if you don't have those things, I'm not telling you, Welton, to go back and undo anything that you've done. However, your Google Plus Biz page will be difficult. That's the one thing I would prefer that you have tied to a Google dashboard, just for convenience of login, because it's one dashboard area. So, Welton is asking to clarify the social setup. We can have the same accounts on both WR1 and WRS1 using the same Gmail account. Yes, WR1 and WRS1 can be the same Gmail account, and if it's not, I don't want you to think that it's absolute. You can still utilize the accounts that you have, and you can connect those. However, you may not have, if you're using Google Webmaster Tools, if you've set Google Webmaster Tools up in a separate account and you're trying to tie that to WR1, you can do it, but you might find you're going to have to connect those accounts through the admin control area. For instance, if you've set up your Google Webmaster Tools on a completely separate Gmail account, when you start adding sites to that, each time you're going to have to share that site at the admin level with your WR1 Google dashboard. So anyway, if that's confusing to you guys, just ignore me. But the bottom line is that there is a way to connect different Google apps, even if it's not the original Gmail account. But it's just more convenient for you to connect those under the first one, because by the time you get to your second web ring, whether it's 1 month from now or it's a year from now, you're gonna you're gonna realize how inconvenient it is not to have everything under one control panel, because you're going to need to set up another Google dashboard with other accounts on that. So we just want to help you keep those layers clear.
There's also another point that I'd like to raise at this point in time is if you're building your site, always have an exit strategy. So what do I mean by that? For the Sassy business, we've got sassyhairsalon@gmail.com. We've got that email that's set up for them. If we sell the business, we can sell the entire website, plus the email, plus the Google dashboard, plus the analytics. We can package up everything because it's been built to package. That's why we create the framework. We create this container that holds all these things, and they're all tied to a specific email account. We can move that whole thing, that whole framework. We can sell that block or that box with all the goodies inside it. We can just say, okay, there you go, change the passwords, give them the logins, and that's them off on their way. Okay, so when you build your sites, just think of an exit strategy as well. If you're going to sell the actual entity, the website, how are you going to actually deploy it or hand it over quickly and effectively? And the easiest way is through a specific email account. Okay, this is something else I wanted to mention over there. There's a question, is a blog considered a W2? No, left.
Definitely not.
No, it's
okay.
a WR1.
Let's whip out the web rings. That question scares me a little bit.
Which one do you go to, Russell?
It's not no, but it's a resounding no. U dash everywhere. Where did you see that question? I'm not even seeing it.
It is just above Welton's question you answered previously.
Oh, okay. Matt, are you still here? Matt Prados, who asked that question?
No, he's left.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys, AWR2 is not your blog, your money blog. Give me a 1 if you understand that, and 2 if you were not clear on that, if you had the same question that Matt Prados asked. I want to see everybody's numbers up there. Okay. Okay, looks like Matt was the only one who had that question. Right. Okay. No, well, a blog is not a WRS1. A blog is a WR1. Actually, that's a good point. Let me just make sure. WRS, the word S means social or secondary. Social or secondary. What that means is it's not a core site for you. If you're looking at Blogger, or you're using, it's a little bit weird. If you're using Blogger or you're using WP, WordPress.org, or if you're using the WordPress hosted version, that would be a WRS1. If you're using a clean install like Matt has shown you, and you're installing it on the server, and it's on your hosting account with your IP address and your, it's your server and or your hosted blog that you control the HT access, that everything he was showing, that would be a WR1. So yes, you can have multiple sites as WR1. You could technically have 3 or 4 sites that are all WR1, and they would still be qualified by our definitions as WR1. I know that's a little weird, but you understand the definition of secondary, or S. What we mean by S is that it is not on a platform whose server at the infrastructural level you control. For example, Blogger.com decided that no more adult material is going to be going into Google's Blogger, right? And if you had a bunch of sites that were as adult, you would have gotten all of your blogs removed, like by the millions, right? This happened a few weeks ago. That's an example of what we mean. You can't control what they do at that server level, so that's a S. It's secondary. So you use it, for example, if you had this happened when we were using Posterist. If I'd had some branded material for Network Empire on Posterist or Blogger.com, and then Google decided that all information about SEO and topics about SEO were removed, then I would have no recourse, and those S's would be removed. Okay, so that's what we mean. WRS just simply means you don't have absolute control over the golden frame, meaning the server and what you get to share and sell. Marina is asking, curious about www subdomain. What does Sue strongly recommend having a money set? Marina, she doesn't get into it very much. You probably watched her sidestep that on one of the OMG trainings. This has to do with www is a subdomain. And the reason that we default, always use a subdomain when you can. One of the reasons is, let me think, how much can I say here? If your site gets burned with negative SEO, you have a recourse, which is to get rid of the www. Okay, so it's just like any other of the advanced techniques that we'll teach you at live certification that Jimmy will talk about. It's a buffer. It actually does, and a lot of people don't know this, it actually does work as a potential sidestep, either negative SEO or for whatever reason. Okay, so it's better to not have it. I mean, it's better to have it than to not have it. So, yeah, Welton's saying it's a really cool buffer. No, I don't want you guys to think of it as a really cool buffer, really. I want you to think about it as, God, I hope that never happens to me. And it does not give me permission to do very scary things and or risk anything at all whatsoever on my branded site. Okay. Now, Welton, I agree that it is cool, but there's a reason we don't talk to you about it. We don't want you to be in that mindset. But in the event that something weird or bad happened, you do have a recourse, Marina, because you have that www. It's just like any other subdomain. And the reason we sidestep that conversation is there are some extremely advanced SEO techniques that we teach live certification students having to do with subdomains and 301 redirects. And that's all that we can really say about it, but it does act as insurance. Okay, so if you have a choice of having it or not having it, have it. And another thing, another thing, Marina, is don't do both. In fact, if you go into Google Webmaster Tools, they're starting to actually have a pop-up message. Matt, you've probably seen this, where they say, make sure that you include all of your site names, www without the www, because interestingly enough, www is a completely different domain and inbound link reference than the non in many cases. Yeah. Additionally, if you have yoursite.com/Marina/, it's very different than yoursite.com/Marina without the /. So the point is that you've got to we're trying to get decent metrics with backlinking tools and all these different things. If you start having different domain names, Google is going to recognize different names for your index and is going to give you different link juice. You can, for instance, look at networkempire.com without the www, and you can go to networkempire.com with the www, and you'll see that they have different page authority and they'll have different trust and different power. So that's kind of weird. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but Jimmy would tell you it's a bad thing. Matt would tell you it's a bad thing overall, because you want to hoard that link juice on one target so that you can get all the ranking juice and especially the trust from that.
The less backlinks you can create, the lighter your footprint and the easier you fly under the filters. So the more tight and the more focused and the more you keep things tidy, the easier your job becomes. This is why we're sort of showing you these frameworks. We're creating like boxes where you can put things in, and there's components which you can plug in and there's components you can pull out. So we're creating a plug-and-play environment for you guys to think from a framework level and then say, okay, what does this framework need? Okay, it's a blog. I don't need a gateway. I need an autoresponder. I need analytics.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Matt. That's perfect. You're right. Now, Pat is asking, some sites to look at have subdomains for mobiles, m.dominance.com. Yes, the m subdomain, sometimes they create a subdomain in order to create a unified, they'll get a separate domain so they can do some different things with the site. That's one method. There's more than one method to create mobile sites, but yes, if you utilizing a subdomain or an extension even is one of the ways that they do that. You bring up a good point. What is the SEO of mobile? We're not going to cover the SEO of mobile. I don't like the method of creating a different subdomain. Some companies do that for you. They'll create a subdomain, like when they offer to make mobile sites for unknowing customers who are not super SEO savvy. They'll create a subdomain, but there's different ways. Yeah, you can redirect, but again, you're going to lose some. Sometimes they have a redirect when it's a bot redirect. If somebody's coming from a mobile phone, then they switch it to a different. So on your phone, you'd see it as a subdomain, but it doesn't. It's just weird, And the SEO could go either way. You just want to make sure that the company in fact, Google is kind of big on this. They have a list of sites that are mobile platform friendly. I don't know if you guys know this. Some of you have taken our domain authority stacking course and other courses. Part of the reason that companies like Wix and Web.com and Weebly are Jimmy's choice for domain authority stacking is because They're Google trusted sites, and Google trusted sites, they prefer web companies that can do cross-platform integration. And so you'll see like Weebly doesn't do that. You don't. They just mobilize. They create a mobile integration across multiple platforms within their service without breaking your link building pattern. So that's one of the things is integration. It's really, you want to keep kind of a consistent domain. That makes sense,
Yeah, where
Pat?
possible, get responsive themes, guys. That's half the battle won. Plus, most of them are mobile already. Like with Sassy, when I look at it through the mobile device, I've checked on the iPad, I've seen on my
Right.
iPhone, I've used my Samsung. The site adapts based because it knows through HTML5, it actually knows that it's a mobile device. So it can read the device type and it can actually respond accordingly.
Marina,
Mobile's becoming very, very, very popular at the moment. So that's one thing you do want to make sure is that your sites are sort of responsive in that way.
yeah, Marina, you want to use www in your webmaster, in your Google dashboard.
Yeah, guys, www has been from the beginning of the internet. Everyone used to say, hey, what's your website? And it'll be www. That was a big thing. It's like we've been programmed to use www from the beginning of time, basically. So if you stick with that, it just gives you two subdomains on your top-level domain, and like we expressed, it gives you a way out if anything should go bad.
Yeah.
If one entity gets hacked, you can quickly restore it and your other site's still up. It just saves you a lot of time, and it saves you a lot of money if you just go through the process we're showing here, because we're ring-fencing things. We're creating containers that are isolated. So with analytics, we can see specifically what's happening on the blog. We can see what's specifically happening on the money side. Everything is, it all filters down. It's a weird thing. Everything filters down from the infrastructure, actually, from the infrastructure all the way up through the site to the build, through the traffic, everything comes back down, and we must be able to see what is happening where, so we can make better decisions when we actually start updating and changing things on the site.
Yeah,
and
when in doubt,
analytics and everything's all mixed up, it becomes very hard.
When in doubt, use www. I even use it in the blog. I change the blog to www in the settings, just everywhere. All right, cool. It looks like the questions have run out, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up for today. What are we covering next week, Matt?
Next week's analytics. I'm taking the guys through the dashboard I created for them, and we're just going to speak about, start introducing the guys to the funnels, sales funnels, and concepts of it.
Okay, let's just do some follow-up. Give me a 1 if you feel like you're moving along in this process, because we are on week 7. And give me a 2 if you're stuck and you're wondering what the hell is going on, and you're just completely unclear of what's happening. Wow, nobody really. Okay. Oh, very minor. Okay, looks like we have one person that made a little bit. The person who actually said that they're having some difficulty, you are aware that you can audit multiple courses, right? In other words, you're once a member, always a member. You have that advantage. And I also think, was it you who contacted me because you haven't been able to hook up your time with Matt? Was that you? There's some schedule? No, it wasn't. Okay, cool. So Matt's been working his rear end off, working with all y'all. So, okay, good. Well, it's good to know that 99.9% of everybody is on track. And the good news is that if you don't get every detail of this around, I'd like to compliment each and every one of you and remind you that the material that you've just gone through took me 15 years to learn. It's like even the level 1 certification has taken me between 10 and 14 years to learn. It's really deceptive when somebody lays it all out for you layer upon layer, to underestimate how long it took to compile that information and that training. So that's the good news. In other words, you've surrounded the camp. You've got all of this stuff going on. And then you had somebody crazy enough to try to teach it to you, which is Matt. And tried it, not only that, to try to compress it into 8 weeks. Additionally, the layers of the rings that come out in these higher levels of the courses that eventually you guys will participate in. It might be, it might be next month, it might be next year, but you will begin. You'll have these light bulb moments where you realized what it is that we're actually building for you and what we're teaching you to build for others and yourself. These are not tiered links. These are not traditional SEO. Much of what we teach flies in the face of thinkers and traditional thoughts in the industry. We are iconoclasts, but that's how we're able to help you build your sustainable networks and your sites. So I just want you to take comfort in the fact that you guys are in an accelerated course. We've talked to even university professors who've made attempts to try to take some of our material into the college course university curriculums, and they immediately come up with the unorthodox degree. Our desire is to make sure that you get an ROI and return on investment of what it is that you're doing, but we can't compromise on providing you with the material. So you're all doing really, really well, and just keep going on doing what you're doing. Next week is one of my favorite weeks because I've learned a ton from Matt about metrics, about analytics. And again, some of these things will, for instance, there are a lot of people that believe you should never use Google Analytics because it's dangerous and they can track you and this and stuff. Anybody taken our Traffic Hospital course, you know that that's absolutely true. If you look at Kemper tools, you look at other things, that the UA code for Google Analytics is something that you can detect from backlinks, right? But that's why we have the layers. That's why we have the levels of certification and the rest. We want you to use Google Analytics on your WR1 web ring because it provides the traffic, and however, we may not want you to do that, for example, on the third level, on the WR3 level. See what I mean? You don't want to leave, or if you do, we teach you very specifically to not use the same UA code for every account, and don't even use the same series of UA codes. So everything has meaning. Everything has a functional stack. Everything has a relationship depending upon the scale and the size. So these are the things where you're going to start learning how Matt's going to be showing you everything that you learn from Matt next week on tracking and funneling and how all of this stuff works is going to be applied in different ways throughout the network. So the good news about certification level 1, which is why it's so incredibly important for everything, is in some ways the hardest terms, definitions, principles, and concepts are learned here. And really the other web rings are just kind of variations of the safety protocols and of the same themes. Give me a 1 if you understand that and if that makes sense to you. That much of the thing that you learn in this training is really going from then on, your technical expertise will be variations of all that throughout the network. Good. Some of you like that a lot. Okay. Someone said...
There's two more things I want to say, Russ, before you close up.
Sure.
You can carry on with your thought.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. There's one thing I wanted to cover with you guys. Let's come back to the web rings. Within the WR1s, guys, you're not bound just to the money site and the actual blog. You've got to think about what are the business needs of the actual WR1. So in this graph here, we've got a wiki, which is a glossary, and we've got the RSS setup. Okay, so example, in ThemeZoom, we've got the media glossary with all our terms and definitions. That's one of the things that drive a lot of traffic into our business. And
yeah.
People spend a lot of time on that actual site. So when you think about the WR1, always come back to the business need. Okay?
Yeah.
Think about the business. Think about what do they need, how do they need to communicate, and what must be built so they can efficiently organize everything. That's maybe a way to help you think about your WR1 sites. The second thing I wanted to say was if you guys are getting stuck, just ping me on Skype. I would only say now is, but if you're having hassles, please contact me straight away. If I can't help you, I'll definitely organize with Sue or Russ, who's going to be the best to help you with your questions. So I will mediate and organize and steer you in the right direction. So please don't feel that you can't speak to me, especially through this period. It's extremely important that I do get to speak to you guys and help you get through these things, because it'll take me 10 minutes to explain a concept and I'll work through it, even if it takes me an hour, till you get to understand it. Because once you understand these things that Russ has told us over a year, like you said, everything else is built on top of it. So these foundational principles are so important to get. When you get them, you won't forget them and you'll be on your way and you'll realize, wow, okay, this stuff is hectic.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and wrap this up.
There's one question there quickly.
Okay.
Marina's asking, one feed setup from last week, do you still recommend using only wire? I found one feed week in 2 training, it does not include only wire. In the example there, Marina, we just gave you different examples of hub type sites that actually do the syndication. It's not a recommendation, it's more a demonstration of what is available. There are many others you can use.
Well, we can get into this. We can get into the specifics because they are on there. This chart, that chart was created, Marina, before we had social explosion, and I don't mind one feed. You just got to be a little bit careful. One of my prerequisites for awesomeness is whether or not you can take an RSS feed and put it into a service. So again, OnlyWire tries to emulate. We built a better mousetrap with social explosion because we don't. Our users don't have to actually create the social accounts. We literally have tens of thousands of social accounts within the network empire, social signals exchange network. Okay, with OnlyWire, you've got to go and create the accounts or hire somebody on Fiverr to create the accounts. And the advantage of OnlyWire and using it is that they have a whole lot more social platforms than we do. We only have 4 at the moment: Twitter, Pinterest, Digo, and Delicious. They've got 47 that you can create, right? And you can get domain authority you can get some trust from all social accounts, as discussed in our domain authority stacking course. And trust is a good thing. Generally speaking, what I liked about OnlyWire is it's a pretty nice way to rapidly build trust on those accounts and then auto-publish to all of them right through your RSS feed. So it's not that we're recommending it, but we're not recommending it. We would have to answer, it depends. And if you would like to know whether or not that's important for you at an advanced level, in your particular case, the domain authority stacking course is specifically designed for those who want to dive deeper into the question of the exact math of, should I build more trust in my site using this service? Okay, we built WP Social Explosion so that you could do it without having to build all those accounts because they just are syndicated out. Recently, I've done a video series called Why RSS, which I will drop into. It accidentally went viral. Apparently, it hit a nerve. I built it originally to help another student who was having a difficult time understanding what RSS was and why it was used for SEO and how it builds both trust and power to the site. So I'll go ahead and drop that link here, which is just now on a wiki page. It's like 4 videos and helps you a little bit more with RSS so you can begin to answer that question for yourself. So Marina, if you're trying to follow an exact paint-by-numbers process, which we're trying to give you, when it comes to third-party services, be sure that it makes sense for your budget. Because here's another thing, like for example, with OnlyWire, I think I had like $1,000 a month account or something like that, and I put an RSS feed in there from like one of my PinBid sites, right? And I was burning through like $1,000 worth of credits in, like 3 weeks because I had it turned to, so you got to be careful with RSS stuff, with those types of things. It's not inexpensive, and we actually built WP Social Explosion to be less expensive than OnlyWire, and I did that based on my own experimental research. So that's that type of thing. So OnlyWire, I like it. It's a good service. It does allow an RSS in so that you set and forget as long as those accounts stay up. Okay. So Matt was just in that diagram creating a for instance that gives you the idea of how you can generate trust automatically, because we're very much into one feed automation. Does that make sense? Did I answer that question, Marina? The short answer is yes, but watch your budget and pick your battles and know why you're doing it. Okay, good. She's got it. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. You guys have been amazing. I can't wait till next week. Super excited. For those of you who are attending our level 4 certification, which is all about the outer darkness, WR3 and beyond, WR2, WR3 connection, while we're pulling RSS feeds. Let me just grab you that. Let me just grab them before we hang up the why RSS wiki entry. And there'll be some decent things on there for you guys to look at and consider. It's a good primer when thinking about all these diagrams and these things that we're talking about in terms of the one feed setup, just to get you guys primed for that. I'll go ahead and drop that into the window here. Is there anyone in this particular training that feels like they don't have a firm grasp on RSS? Are they confused about RSS? If the level of comfort with RSS and the understanding of how it builds trust over and even power over time if the highest comfort level is 10 and the lowest is 1, everybody type in a number of how comfortable they are with why the one feed system works and why we're setting that up for you. I want to take a survey to get your basic understanding. Okay, we have a 7. Okay, we have a 3, 4, 8, 9, 9, 8, 7.5. Okay, good. It's interesting to look around at the students. Some of you have taken the DAS course, a little bit more comfortable with that, and then it's good though. Most of you are pretty clear. Okay, good. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in the window here in the group chat, a wiki entry in our wiki. Whoops. And this is brand new for you guys, and we've decided that we're going to pretty much only keep it for students. It's not going to get even published on our blog, so we'll probably end up adding part of this. I have to check in with the team, but we'll add maybe 1 or 2 of these to the course, just an introduction to RSS. I draw this all out for you with a pen and paper using a whiteboard, and so it might be helpful for you to kind of understand why Matt is showing you how to set these things up. And also, it'll give you a sneak peek of what's to come and how everything that you're doing now connects to the other courses that Matt teaches and that I teach in automatic pin bid and all these different things. Okay? So that...
Russ, you were saying something about week 4, take 4, and
yeah.
You stopped half with your sentence.
I need more.
About next week.
I think I need more coffee. Oh, you know what I was saying? I was saying that for those of you who are taking that training at the same time, I'm proud of you. We have people in this room who are taking both training. I think that's what I was alluding to. That we have people that are doing the level 4 training at the same time as this one. But it's important that you understand how everything connects. I really have no memory of what it was that I was trying to say.
Cool. Last question there from Pat Russ. What does trust mean for a website?
That's covered in the link that I just gave you. I gave on video 5. It's called Trust and Power for Dummies, and meaning the 4 dummies is for me. Okay, I'm a dummy when Matt and Sue and Kevin and especially Jimmy tries to talk to me about 6-level deep SEO and the Fibonacci sequence of how trust and power is lost through a myriad of sites and how the symmetry of certain relationships of sites can increase your page rank, domain authority, and trust out of thin air. I have to be talked to like I'm a 12-year-old because it takes me a long time to understand what he's trying to say. So what I did is I took all that knowledge and I put it in a wiki file for you. That may or may not remain open to the public, but you guys will always have access to it. Because those 5 videos have actually worked. They've been serious light bulb moments. What I did in that video series is I took a whiteboard and some ink pens, and I drew out everything that I've ever learned about RSS, trust, and power, and how RSS and our products, Social Explosion and One Feed Supercharger, work. Now, keep in mind that this is just a basic introduction, okay? But it might help some of you begin to understand why Matt is having you set up the One Feed right now, because it is really, really important. Like everything in the certification level 1 it will set you up to build trust more powerfully. So trust for a site, Pat, is domain authority. One way of determining trust, it's kind of a hack, but when you get the Moz toolbar, and your trust is pretty much regulated by your domain, measured by your domain authority. Most people measure it in terms of the Moz toolbar. Okay. So Moz developed their own. But trust is essentially, as you'll see in video 4, the way that a website is viewed in the Moz bar, how many trusted links it has to it, how popular it is. So there's Moz popularity. The bottom line is that the trust is indicated by many, many things. Part of the reason in Social Explosion we use Delicious, Digo, Twitter, is because they have a domain authority of 90 or greater. Twitter, for instance, has 100. And Google.com, of course, is the very axiom or the very core of trust, which is 100. Ground zero, which is 100. So the point is that generally speaking, SEOs around the world, since the creation of PageRank, have believed that sites, there's a hierarchy of trust. Okay? And the way that it works is that it was called Trust Rank. It was the first research done at Stanford University with two brilliant mathematicians. And what they did is they took a series of seed sites like Wikipedia, okay, reference sites that were considered to be the most important and powerful sites on the web. It would be things like Wikipedia and this and that. Okay, and what they did is they found out that there's such things as trust rank, and then there's such things as antitrust rank. Antitrust rank is when your site is one hop away from extremely low trust and extremely low power. Okay, and that's called spam indexing. If your site is being referenced by a bunch of spam sites through these automatic SEO traffic systems, then if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it is a duck. That means you're spam too. Okay, remember that whole idea of being associated with bad neighborhoods? Okay, so that's really what that was. So the videos that I just sent you should cover all of that, trust and power. Power is really about how many links, a specific page has, and trust is more about the overall domain and how many inbound links it has from highly trusted sites. Part of the reason we use Social Explosion is that social accounts also have a very, very high trust. Trust is also political. On video 5, I show you the politics of trust. Okay, and the politics of trust are if you go inside your Google Analytics tool and you go down to, how many of you guys want me to show you this, or should you guys just watch the videos? Show up. Oh, geez, you guys caught me. I have to take another sip of coffee. Probably gonna have to share my screen.
Doing post across heroes?
Yeah, I gotta hide all the secret indexing from the automatic video traffic course. 9,000 index pages last night. Let me just get rid of some of this.
Decide when you're ready.
All right, hang on. Definitely cannot show this screen until you guys get to level 3 certification. Just kidding. Let me get over here. I feel like I'm letting you guys into my living room here. I wasn't ready to. Matt does it every Thursday. Let me just find a. Okay. Yeah, we can share my screen.
Okay. Thank you, presenter.
Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Okay, cool. You guys see Google Analytics? Okay. I know this is, some of you are advanced. I recognize you from domain authority stacking. This is super basic, so I want to make sure the fastest way for you guys to do this is I've documented this very, very well in this wiki file for you. Okay, we get into some hand drawings, exactly how it works. Part 2, and then I get into why Social Explosion is useful for building trust. And then we talk about power versus trust. That's the biggest confusion. People are very, very, very confused about trust versus power. So I give you a very super simplified version of what domain authority stacking is about and why we use it. Then I get into the politics of trust from the Google platforms. So here's what we really mean is one of the reasons that we do stacking, and if you're interested in manipulating that page rank over time, we do that naturally through the WebRing system. So the difference between, we offer manipulation courses, right, like domain authority stacking. Then we offer solutions in case people burn their sites. It's called Traffic Hospital. Okay, these are all certification level courses because we're not going to get away from people wanting to do that. But this system that Matt is teaching you and that we're integrating, it's designed to build both trust and authority over time. Okay, but first we have to understand that in a really basic definition. And please do keep in mind that we do not get into advanced domain authority stacking techniques in Tech Foundation Level 1, because Matt doesn't need to get into that with you very much, because he's showing you how to increase, by siloing your sites, you're increasing the power of inbound links by 80%. Okay, this is the whole reason why we got you focused directly on this. What you're doing is you're building trust and even power, if you do your SEO properly, throughout, all driving back toward your money site over time. So just a super quick definition for those of you who have no SEO background at all. Google.com, for instance, if you use the Moz toolbar, it's up here in the right corner. This is what most people are using. Okay. So if you type in SEO as a topic, okay, you can see the Moz toolbar opens up here, and you can see that this is a domain. Wikipedia is a domain authority of 100. It's got a page authority of 94. Give me a 1 if you guys can see that. Okay. If this is new to any of you, just suffice it to say that, and I'm being super, super oversimplified, preparing you for your advanced training on this type of stuff. This is a link model created by Moz, which is a corporation, it's a company. Okay, Rand Fiskin, CEO. I used to hang out with these guys back in the day, SEO. So he decided to create his own algorithm at the time, PageRank. PageRank has been mothballed. It's no longer really that useful because it really focused primarily on power. The power versus trust is covered pretty well in those RSS series. Okay, this is really this is dealing with the page. If you look at search engine optimization, the domain authority is the trust. The page authority is more related to the power. Because you can see right here, when we're talking about power, we're talking about links to links. When we're talking about trust, we're talking about the overall inbound power from trusted sites. Okay, so suffice it to say, there's many factors that make up trust. But trust and domain authority. Domain authority is one of the most popular ways right now. It's not the only way. It's the most popular way right now in internet land to quickly, because it's a toolbar, right? To quickly ascertain how trusted a site actually is. But what do we actually mean by trust? Well, trust was something that kind of got its start with something called trust rank. Has anybody ever heard of trust rank? Give me a 1 if you've heard of trust rank. 2 if you have not. Okay, if you've taken our other courses, especially DAS, you would have heard of it. Okay, so trust rank, I'm going to go ahead and drop this in the chat area for you as well. And this is helpful for you guys to understand what we're actually building automatically. Everything that Matt and I teach you and the rest of the team teach you this is all integrated naturally into the structure. And by the way, that's not done by default by just any kind of website building method. It's all integrated. So you can read more about this here. I'll drop this in the thing. Trust rank, you can read it on other sites as well. It's a link analysis technique created by Zoltan and Garcia of Stanford. And it's kind of important because it really deals with how many jumps you have from a seed set of sites. Okay, and I give you nice pictures in that video, so you don't need to worry about it. The bottom line is, let's just go over from trust rank. Wikipedia is ground zero. In other words, here's the important thing for you to understand, is somebody had to decide that somebody probably at Google took things like Wikipedia and all these reference sites that don't have a commercial interest and decided that they are ground zero. Somebody by hand had to decide that they were a 100. Does that make sense, you guys? It's very likely, according to the original trust rank methodology, especially the Stanford one, and of course a lot of these brainiacs get hired by Google and the rest, okay? Somebody decided that 100 equals the most trusted site, and Wikipedia being the most trusted site. And then what they did is they created this giant program to determine, okay, how far away, how many jumps from this site is your site? Okay, or how many jumps away is a link from this high domain authority site to your site? Does that make sense? Okay, and so if you've got one jump from a super high trusted site, which is a 100 because somebody manually, some person, a whole group of nerds with glasses sat down one day and decided here's all the trusted sites, okay? And then they try to determine how many, and that became the reference. Now, what is page rank? That was called trust. So what is power? Power is usually indicated by a single page. For example, there's a lot of pages on Wikipedia, isn't there, you guys? But there's only one search engine optimization page, and look, it's a page authority of 94. What that means is it's got 89,000 inbound links. That's probably wrong, because remember, the Moz toolbar and all these tools, they're just guesses. They're best guesses. There's no accurate inbound link tool. Anybody who ever tells you that there is lying to you. There's no way. Why is that? We're going to get into that here in a second. You don't have to have a link that's indexed in the search engines to drive power. And that's one of the big secrets, by the way. In other words, there's links. There's things pointing to this site that are not even indexed, that are not even registered here, that are driving power. Okay? So you're doing the best that you can with this. But this aspect of search engine optimization, this page is a 94. That means it's still a very powerful page. But this could be a domain of 100, but the power could only be a 5, right? Or a 2, or a 1. Would you still want this link? Would you still want a link on this page, even if I could give a link to Bill Cox's site, he's one of the students in our room here. Bill, if I could point a link to your website from this page, even though it had a page authority of 1 or 2 and a domain authority of 100, would you want that link? Everybody answer. Yes or no? If it had no page authority and very high, no power, but tons of trust, would you want that link? Put a yes or a no. You're all saying yes. Are you sure? Okay, everybody gets it. All right, so that's a basic introduction. I know this is a rehash, but the thing is that the politics of trust, Pat was saying no. The answer is yes, Pat. So what, Pat, I specifically want you to see those videos that I wrote. Everybody did have it right. But I like the fact that you're contrarian. That's good. It means you can't be brainwashed. You can figure this stuff out for yourself. But I wanted to get into the politics. Now that you know that the original trust rank, which I'm going to put in the window here for you guys, was created by a manual process, more or less. In fact, it was DMOZ back in the day. Google tried to do this with, does anybody remember the old DMOZ directory? That was a method where they tried to do that. Okay, DMOZ has kind of gone the way of the who knows what, but that was one of their early attempts. They thought they were going to have user-based curation of authority-based trust. But the politics I want to get into with you is pretty clear. A lot of the ways, if you go to your Google Analytics and you go down into acquisition, this is, I think, one of our sites, probably one feed supercharge or something, one of the sales page sites, and you go into social, and you go into Data Hub activity. Okay, you can see right here something called our Data Hub partners. So you can see at this point that trust is actually kind of political. In a very real way, these sites right here have a relationship with Google. That means that they're endorsed by Google, and they actually have a relationship with them. In other words, these sites are on Google's radar. And when you sign a Data Hub partner relationship, it's kind of like being friends with the IRS. It means that your technical standards and everything on the inside, Google understands these companies, has a relationship with them, and they're on the phone. Okay? And it also means that these all have seriously high trust. Now, if you go to dgo.com or All Voices or Meetup, I've got inbound link juice from all of these services at one point, including a Meetup backlink, which was very helpful. Okay, so people don't know that this kind of stuff exists, but you can see why we use Delicious and Digo as automatic backlinks and Social Explosion, because you're going to have a trust of 90 plus. You're not going to have the power with those links. As we begin to index them, some of our accounts have more power than others, right? and we do power those. We have all kinds of stuff going on. But I want you to understand why we choose the platforms that we do. Okay, now not all of the platforms that have, there's like a million other platforms that also have lots of trust. But, I'm trying to give you an idea of what's going on. Now, to make matters more interesting, Google has all kinds of relationships with companies that have high trust. You can bet yourself that if Google is endorsing them when it comes to your own organization, that they have trust. And it doesn't end with social platforms. These platforms also match the trust, So when Stanford was doing their trust, they were using things like Wikipedia and the rest. Well, social sites also have a trust rank. So we use the Moz toolbar to discuss things like trust, but I need you guys to know that the Moz toolbar is just a best guess. The Moz toolbar doesn't even calculate trust the same way that the Stanford University math did. It's close, and Jimmy uses it because it's close. All right, so here's another reference recommendation from Google. These are all the website companies that Google recommends. I talk about an endorsement, right? Here you go. Google. Build websites with these companies. BaseKit, Drupal, Duda, and then when you GoDaddy, and when you go down to the bottom, what do you got? You got Weebly and Wix, right? So you understand why we build domain authority with those things, right? I mean, it's likely that Google's going to buy Wix at some point. So I wouldn't use these as my WR1 sites, but these are the places where, as you get more advanced, and again, the reason we're carefully teaching you to set up properly in certification level 1 is because all of these things come into play later on. Okay, so all of these have extreme authority, right? So when you get a Wix subdomain, for instance, you drive that link juice to your own platform. If you go to Wix or you go to Weebly, I know that Jimmy likes Weebly, Matt likes other things, right? We all have our own methods of doing this, but they all are the same. It's the same process. It's building both trust and authority over time. Okay, so you can see that Weebly has a domain authority 95. You see. So this is the thinking behind how all this works, and it's really important that you start, because if you haven't integrated an SEO silo architecture properly, and you get to the more advanced phases of what we're showing you, which is pushing massive amounts of trust from the outer rings towards your inner locations. RSS feeds are just another way to do that. So when Marina asks, do I recommend using OnlyWire? OnlyWire does effectively build trust because it downstream publishes a bunch of your articles to those social platforms. But there's a cost to it, and it's not cheap. So it really depends on how often you're publishing, and is it worth the trust that you're getting from what you automate. And remember, the more RSS feeds you have and the more content you have, the more expensive it is to push those things out and get the trust. At a certain point, you got to start building power as well. It'll build power over time. So it's an investment. All RSS, all SEO is an investment over time. Give me a 1 if that general overview makes sense to you guys about what's happening. And the main thing here is to recognize that what Matt is teaching you in these 8-week is so incredibly important, because if you're building all that trust and you're investing in all those things and you don't have a website silo site, then you're not optimizing the juice power, and you're not gaining the full benefit of those inbound links because you're not thematically leveraging them on your site. Give me a 1 if you guys understand that. Makes basic sense. Just give me some feedback. Excellent. Okay, cool. I think that's enough for today. If you want to continue that lecture, you can just watch those videos and give you some feedback, and we'll prepare you for next week. I look forward to seeing you next week. Matt, do you have anything in closing?
No, that's it, guys. Next week's all analytics. That's what we're going to talk about. So we're going to hop from the actual site build into the actual data transfers and look at what's going on and how we can use analytics to make better decisions. Yeah,
analytics is the thing. Matt's got mastery in that area. He had mastery in many areas, but this is seriously mastery. All right, you guys, we'll see you on the next webinar. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, guys. And if you get stuck, give me a shout, and I'll help you as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Matt. Have a great night.
Okay. Cheers. Good night, everyone.